morning. My name is Darryl, Wastesicoot, Chief of York Factory First Nation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kyra Wilson, Grand Chief for the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs.
Good morning. Willie Moore, Manitoba YFFN Regional Chief.
Good morning.
Garrison, Sette, MKO Grand Chief, and Dr. Sidney Garrison, the former Grand Chief of MKO. I just wanted to mention.
Good morning. My name is Walter Wastesicoot. I'm the Grand Chief of Sky Nations, currently affiliated under Canadian Tribal Council.
Okay, well, thank you all for being here today. I just want to start off by saying that I acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 First Nation land, and that I also want to acknowledge that we have a family back home right now who's going through some rough times. Their Saunders family, who's at their father's bedside. And we're all thinking about you. And let's just get right to it. York Factory First Nation. In 1957, York Factory First Nation was relocated to the location that we are now in York Landing, in between two other First Nations, TCN, Orlake. We never really understood why we were moved from our territory. But today we are experiencing so much issues with the Manitoba Hydro there. We are in between two dams, the Kelsey Dam and the newly built Kiosk Dam. The one I want to focus on right now is the Kelsey Dam. It's the one that's really been giving us a lot of issues from just years of just neglect from Manitoba Hydro as far as our issues go. Today, and this is not the only time that this happened, we've always brought the issues up with Manitoba, is that the low water that we are experiencing right now is unprecedented, and we're hearing that it's going to go lower. And our ferry, our way out, is just sitting there, can't even move. So we're basically stuck. And it's always been like this. It's not the first year that's been like this, and it continues to happen. So we are looking for solutions here with Manitoba Hydro, but we're falling on deaf ears. I literally had a meeting with the new CEO of Manitoba Hydro just a few months ago, and not even a few months ago, but I can't even communicate with him. He won't even give us his phone number, and yet we're partners in a dam that was just recently built in Kiosk. Why can I not reach the CEO if we're partners? What kind of message does that send to the First Nation when we're supposed to be one of the better off First Nations because of these developments? So this continues in our nation and probably other nations in Manitoba. Manitoba Hydro just does not care about its partners or the First Nations at all. We have tried to sign an agreement with them, and they continue not to honor their commitments to us. It's a sad state that we have to continue with these issues. And I also want to mention that I have my friend Beardy from Fox Lake who goes through the same stuff. probably even worse for him because he's got like 4 dams around him. So these issues are real. We live in poverty while everybody else benefits from the hydro development and the money that's spent on these projects. We don't even benefit off these projects either. I'll take Kiosk for instance. We were pushed out of that deal physically sometimes from the construction of it. I was on that as an engineer through the structure side. I've seen our people get pushed out. So these are the kind of things we experience when it's being the development of it, or just the sad part is we live in between these dams. Nothing happens for us, so we continue to live like that. There's a recession coming with Canada, and people don't realize we're under a recession every day for the First Nations. So I just thought I'd say that today, and I want to give my colleague the opportunity to say his issues.
Good morning. Thank you, Chief Wastesicoot. Appreciate you inviting me to this press conference. And we in Fox Lake are very supportive of Chief Wastesicoot and his council and his members, what they're experiencing. This is real. This is actually happening. You probably don't see that. You go home, you turn on those lights. You have the luxury of turning on those lights. You look at Manitoba Hydro's slogan, "Energy is life." What lives have been devastated, impacted by these? You're witnessing right now, Chief Wastesicoot. They're barge, they can't even use it. We use those waters for navigation. Our ancestors used those waters for navigation from time immemorial. Now we have dams, we have to go around. We have dams blocking the water. We in Fox Lake know the devastations of our lands and our people and our waters and our lands. Not only the lands, but the fish, the winged ones, the birds, everything. We know the devastation. Right now, we can't even launch our boats on the future Kanawapa site in Manitoba Hydro. There's a few times I've actually walked across on my running shoes, 3/4 of the way to the other side where the main channel is, in my running shoes. This is where we're supposed to launch our boats. We can't do that. We can't go hunting and fishing. We're at the mercy of 2 tides with Manitoba. Mother Nature's natural tide and Manitoba Hydro tide when they spill the water. When we go down the river on the weekends, we can't. We have to leave on a Friday and we're stuck there till Monday when they release the water. I understand Chief Wastesicoot's frustration. He wants an all-weather road built from his nation that could help out his nation to get to the PR 280. Why can't we do that? He's been asking that for years. We have a plan. Chief Wastesicoot and his community have a plan where this road should be. It's an easy fix. But you know, you're messing with the people's lives, their livelihood. This is real. This is happening. This is happening right now. All of Manitoba and provinces and the states, they have the luxury of clean electricity. But it came at the expense of our people. Not just in Fox Lake, but also all the nations that are affected by the river system. It's real. And it shouldn't be happening at this day and age. We are here to support Chief Wastesicoot and his community. We need something done, and we need something done now. Not only is it happening in the summer, but it's happening in the winter. Those winter roads are getting less and less. The window is getting shorter and shorter. If Chief Wastesicoot and his community had an all-weather road there, they would be a lot better. But just look what happened now with the fires. We had that fire, we had that road there, their community could probably be evacuated sooner. But you know what? People are saying, use a plane. How are you going to get a 2x4, 2x6, plane on the plane? This is their building materials, their food, building that they need, medicines. Why should they have to suffer when when Manitoba Hydro and the people are profiting for the low electricity rates. We need something done. We need something done now. This can't go on anymore. So we're here to support Chief Wastesicoot and his community to get this all-weather road to fix what's already should be fixed years ago. Thank you.
Anybody wants to speak?
Is it okay if I? Yeah. Okay. Good morning. I just want to acknowledge all the leadership that are here today. Chief Wastesicoot and Beardy, thank you so much for the knowledge that you're sharing about the issues that are happening in your nations. And it's so important that everybody understands exactly what it is that First Nations people deal with on a daily basis. And so today we're talking about an issue with the control of water that is within the lands and territories of First Nations that are being controlled by Manitoba Hydro. What you're seeing right now is dams are surrounding our First Nations communities, and they are controlling the flow through and the water levels, and it's negatively impacting our First Nations communities. And the First Nations communities are negatively impacted. There's so many different impacts that we see when a community is essentially stranded, and that's what we're seeing right now, is a control of water levels that are extremely low, that don't allow for landing of any planes, and the health and wellness impacts that affect the very community members that live in the nation. And so what we've seen and heard is that the ferry services have been cut off as well for the last few weeks, and that is because of the water levels. And sometimes what we see, not only in the two nations that we're talking about today, but in other nations, Manitoba Hydro is actually flooding communities. So they are controlling the water levels and the negative impacts of First Nations, the impacts on the community members, on ancestral lands and territories, which include the trap lines. It negatively impacts animals. It negatively impacts everything. And what we're seeing right now with Manitoba Hydro is that they are providing a service to the rest of Manitoba, hydroelectricity, and they are paying the province of Manitoba water fees for the water flow through in these dams, and everybody else is benefiting except for First Nations people. Everyone is making money and everyone is receiving a service, and the only people that are impacted negatively are the First Nations communities. And it's unfortunate that the province of Manitoba makes probably about, I would say, $200 million annually from water fees from Manitoba Hydro. And I believe that the amount of the water fees that the province of Manitoba is receiving has decreased, because the province of Manitoba is actually subsidizing Manitoba Hydro and giving them lesser rates to allow them to continue to devastate our lands and our communities. So I think that right now, the province of Manitoba, Manitoba Hydro, you have a responsibility and obligation to correct what is happening right now. And right now, nations are suffering because of Manitoba Hydro and the sources of energy that Manitoba is receiving, and that's right now Manitoba Hydro. So what I would say is that this is a pattern for Manitoba Hydro. Every year, First Nations communities are having to deal with this. Every year, it's a pattern. And this is not the first message that leadership has shared about the devastation of their communities. So something needs to change. And it needs to change today, because what I'm hearing today is communities are suffering, people are suffering, and that's not okay. I won't sit by and allow that to happen. So I just want to say thank you again for everybody that's here, for the support, for our leadership, and the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, we stand with you. Miigwech.
Good morning. My name is Walter Wastesicoot. I'm the Grand Chief for the Sky Nations, currently affiliated under Cuban Tribal Council. I'm also a citizen of York Factory First Nation. Our people, as Chief Wastesicoot stated, were relocated from our homelands in 1957. Our people have been waiting 68 years for redress from Canada. That was a forced relocation. Even during the relocation, our people walked, they canoed, they took what they could. They found themselves a home at a place they called Kawichawasik. They were told they were squatters. So our people have tried to make a home at this location, now known as York Landing, over the last 68 years. Nothing is working. Manitoba Hydro, Manitoba, Canada, all are complicit in what's happening with our people today. All of them. Our people, all of northern Manitoba, all across Canada, have been living under legislated negligence. The doctrine of discovery in this country is entrenched in the Constitution of Canada. Manifests itself as the Indian Act. This is what we are dealing with. It's called legislated racism. It allows for this kind of treatment of our people. There is no respect, there is no concern for a child that's in York Landing today. Nothing. We have two leaders in this country, Mark Carney and Wap Canoe, who are new in their roles. Wap Canoe being the one with more experience in his role. Both have reached out to our people for a new arrangement. We applaud that. We need action. We need action today. We need it tomorrow. The citizens of northern Manitoba need all-season roads and access to Canada and Manitoba. We can't be held hostage by an unreliable air service, by weather conditions, by Manitoba Hydro's regulation of these waters that impact 4 First Nations directly. We learned after the new NDP government came into power that the previous Conservative government told Manitoba Hydro not to speak to the Cree Nation partners. Not to speak to the Cree Nation partners. What kind of partnership is that? So we need action from Mark Carney and Wap Canoe and anybody and everybody that works with them. We have solutions to what's happening with our people. We have solutions to offer. Thank you.
Tansi. Ichisanag niwago maganag. I want to share my my sense of gratitude to the leaders that are here, the Grand Chiefs, the Regional Chief, and the Chief of the Fox Lake Cree Nation, as we come together to stand in solidarity with Chief Wastesicoot and York Landing, because he's raising an issue that affects his nation. It's a nation that's in peril, and his people are in peril because of the manipulation of the water levels in his community. Access to water and food is being compromised. The safety of his people is being raised by his leadership. And it is unacceptable that a nation has to go through that. It is unacceptable in this day and age that a nation is struggling to find resources to support their people. Because we live in a very wealthy province, a province that has gained wealth because of the extraction of resources in our territories, and also the energy that has been created for hydroelectric power is derived from the north, and yet our people remain in poverty. And this is not the first time this has been raised. We are very familiar with the impacts of hydroelectric projects. I'm from a northern flood community. I've seen the devastation of our territory. I've seen the devastation of our water levels and the impacts on our community, and it still continues to this day. A nation cannot be left without support from the government, from the province. A nation cannot be abandoned because their people matter. They should not be forgotten, and that's why we're here. In the midst of all the things that we're facing right now, wildfires are creating havoc within our First Nations, and this situation is only compounding the problem. So immediate action is required. Immediate action is required to support the York Landing Nation. Because if nothing is done, people's lives are at stake here. People's lives are on the line because they don't have access to roads. They don't have adequate access to airline services to be able to mobilize their people. They're in a situation that's very critical, and something has to be done. And the solution to this is creating a road that will help this First Nation have all-weather road access perpetually. Because it's time to act. Time is now. Support. Please support York Landing and the York Factory Cree Nation. Egusani.
Good morning, Willie Moore, Manitoba YFFN Regional Chief. Here to stand in solidarity with the York Landing Cree Nation, and also Fox Lake. Just to add to the comments that the leadership had mentioned, the discussion, we're at a critical time, with the Bill C-5, Canada and Manitoba, saying we need one Canadian economy. Manitoba and Canada go out to the world and saying we're open for business, seeking investment. We have access to tidewater. And if they access that tidewater, it goes through the traditional territories of both nations. Yet they're still living with the impacts of the cumulative effects of hydro development. The regulations and licensing to operate those dams, whoever approves those be ashamed of themselves. To Manitoba, and to Canada. If the chief can't get a meeting with the Hydro CEO, which is a crown corporation from the province, is that reconciliation? The injustices, the breach after breach after breach of agreements that continue to happen. If we were to breach an agreement, such as funding, guess what? We'd be stripped of our authority. Well, that it should happen to Manitoba as well. The continued impacts that the communities have to live with. That's on the backs of decision makers that represent the province. So, to Premier Canoe, the Hydro Board, give that time and that respect to the Cree Nations. Give them that time to meet, as you are partners, as the chief had mentioned. Thank you.
Does the elder have anything to say? I think he's
Good morning, and thank you, Chief, for allowing me to speak on some issues arising from your end. I do support Chief Wastesicoot claims. I think the President and CEO of the Manitoba Hydro should be upfront to deal and meet with the Chief Council of the York Landing. The claims are real. Winnipeg regulation is something outstanding that needs to be reviewed as well. It's an interim license. Even the Kelsey hydro generating station is, they want to renew the licenses. And now we're in a situation still that needs to be confronted and dealt with in a very reasonable way. And I do support Chief Wastesicoot claim. I'll specify that the water quality is a question because of the water fluctuation. The water sediments that are being transported to the tanks of the houses, there are sediments in that water. And we need to kind of refute the circumstances on that issue itself. The children that are swimming, they get the rashes because of that muddy water. The harvesting for the community itself, it's something that they are reluctant to go out to take their families because of dangerous, devastating. If they hit a rock or reef, they'll end up capsizing the boat, and that's very dangerous. So these are the matters that needs to be looked at very carefully, and I need to express that I do support Chief Wastesicoot claims that we need to get this thing resolved and mitigated. Manitoba Hydro is supposed to mitigate the issues that surround the matters that are confronting us day-to-day lives of our people. Harvesting of our people, they're not going out harvesting what they usually do in traditional life because of the dangerous, devastating issues arising from the water transportation issue. So these are the matters I express that I do support Chief Wastesicoot claims that needs to be addressed and dealt with in a very reasonable way. Thank you.
I'm with APTN National News. Thank you so much for having us here today. Chief Wastesicoot, I was wondering if I could get your comment on something. We reached out to the province yesterday about this issue. We asked about the dams, and we heard back from Transportation and Infrastructure Minister Lisa Naylor. She said that the issue is caused by drought. I'm wondering if you have any response to that framing.
Well, what is the drought? What we see as drought is mostly. Sorry. Yeah, we've heard a few times that the drought is the problem here. That they're holding back the waters because they need it for the winter. That's my understanding. But it still doesn't excuse the Manitoba government not dealing with this issue with the First Nations. They don't fund us for low water. We've asked Manitoba Hydro to renegotiate the PDC, which is the predetermined compensation, when the water goes low or high. They only compensate us if the water is high. We've asked them to renegotiate it, and they said no. Plain right out no.
Also to everyone at the table, just a quick question. Mitchell Rangos, City News, Winnipeg. With the ferry being down, and I know going forward that Manitoba Hydro and speaking to council that they provided the small boat, but with the ferry being down and fears of evacuations due to fires, along with smoke having trouble landing with planes, if there was a fire and another evacuation, with this ferry being down, is this a huge safety risk for the people in the community, especially with how hard it is to land planes currently?
Absolutely, it would be. We did have experiences with the TCN, our neighboring community, where our ferry, that's where we docked, that's where we hit the PR 280. And our ferry, because of the smoke, was not able to dock there a few times, so they had to come back. So that's, yeah, it impacts it from the wildfires. Sometimes the planes couldn't land because of the smoke. So yeah, if we were able to, if we were in fire range, yes, it would be devastating that we couldn't get out at all. Right now, the smaller boats are having a hard time getting across, and we have a lot of people to move, but we can't do it in small boats. We asked Manitoba Hydro to provide us with boats. They basically said no. The shore is so long now, they don't even provide us with docks. You know, we've asked them year after year for docks, and they don't even want to fund that. You know, that's this multi-billion-dollar corporation won't even fund docks. You know, that's how. There's no other word to say it. The cheap Manitoba Hydro is. I don't know what their problem is, but they need to change that.
Matthew, Free Press. A question for everyone at the table. You mentioned that this isn't a new demand to have this road built because it's a necessity for the communities. Where have conversations gone in the past with the federal government?
We have been asking for an all-weather road for years. When Steve Ashton used to come to my community as a little boy growing up there, I heard these conversations, and that's how far back these discussions have been. Every year, every election time, those are the promises that they made, and we still don't have a road. And as for Manitoba Hydro, they at one time had committed some money toward a all-weather road, but they pulled it back. So the government today, we are negotiating a relocation claim, and we've asked the government of Canada to provide us with a road. They said they're willing to look at that, but we don't trust anyone at this time. So they're all just words right now. If we had the opportunity to go back to our homeland, absolutely. The location that we're on is ongoing issues. Like I said before, we are in between two nations. It's not our land. It's not our RMA. We don't have land there that we can harvest. We have to go to York Factory, where it's about 200 kilometers air kilometers from us. It costs $10,000 to go there for one chopper ride, $10,000 to come back. And when we go harvest there, that's the cost that we don't have. So we can't harvest anywhere. The fish are pretty much have a third eye in these waters. You know, they're filled with contamination, and we don't rely on those. All the animals are gone. Do you think the animals would drink that water? Absolutely not. When we were building Kiosk, not even Manitoba Hydro would drink from that water. They dug a well. But we were expected to still drink from that river.
Do you see an opportunity
Well, we see opportunities, but Manitoba Hydro, Manitoba, or Canada don't.
Where would your homeland be, or where would you prefer to relocate if that was something that was possible?
We would need about $50 billion to relocate. Oh, $5 billion, not 50. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But where we are, we do have solutions. An all-weather road would take care of a lot of the issues. That's what we're here to talk about today. Will Canada, will Manitoba look to give us an all-weather road? You've been promising this since the 70s when you used to come and campaign. No more campaigns are going to be welcomed unless these actions are taken seriously.
Catherine Dorney on Global News. Have you been able to talk to the Premier or Minister Naylor about this current proposal for the all-weather road?
We've talked to Minister Naylor a few times. We've requested meetings with the Premier. He's agreed to meet with us, but in the meantime, it was weeks away. So we can't wait. This is how serious it is. We can't afford to wait to meet with the officials that have the power to do something about it. So that's why we're here today.
Can you speak to the impact of not having that ferry? What has that resulted
in? A few days ago, I sat here with Chief Wastesicoot, and we explored this issue. At that time, the food at the local store had, I think, quadrupled in price, and they were running out, empty shelves. The plane couldn't land because of the smoke, and no one could get out for more supplies because the ferry had ceased operation, and the smaller watercraft couldn't get to Spit Lake. So what do you do in that situation? The immediate need right now is to get food, medicines into the community, people that need medical aid to get out of that community. The long-term solution is an all-season road. You know, there's no mathematical equation that's going to produce an aha moment in this situation. The environmental damage of development has reached a point where at some point winter road season is going to be a distant memory. Pardon me? Of course. We just completed a feasibility study for all-season roads to 9 of our First Nations in northern Manitoba. That was last December, and there are so many benefits to all-season roads for our people, and one of them is the peace of mind, the flexibility to leave when you need to or want to, the flexibility to return when you want to. That's not there right now. Canada boasts all over the world about its democracy, except when you're a First Nation citizen in this country. There is no democracy. Personally, I have not had a good experience with democracy that these people brag about all over the world. As a child, I was abducted from my home and placed into an institution of genocide. When I was born, I was an Indian. All of a sudden, I was Aboriginal. We declared we were First Nations, and then I woke up one morning, we were Indigenous. There's something wrong with that. When is that going to change? 68 years our people have been waiting for redress on this forced relocation from our homelands. Going home, returning to our homelands, is very appealing right now. Manitoba and Canada won't respond to the crisis at York Landing. It's time to go home. That's the alternative.
Chief Wastesicoot, another question for you. You mentioned that you've been hearing talks of an all-season road since you were a little boy. What is the reason that you're hearing reports and not have been made since?
It always comes down to money. You know, the government says they don't have money. Canada always says we got to find the money, and yet they send money overseas to other countries that are going through crisis. You know, like, what about the crisis in your backyard? They don't look at that. There's so much that, like, even we are the most untapped human resource in the country. They come, other countries come here, they get jobs, but they don't educate us. They don't look to us for filling those gaps. We're made to stay in our First Nations and continue to go through these issues. We want to be a part of the economy. We're not saying we're against all industry or progress. We want to be a part of it, but we're shut out. That's the reality.
I know, speaking to your council, that there were plans to build more homes in your community, and with this ferry going down, is that something that is going to be pushed back multiple years? Is that something can you still bring lumber and resources up, or due to this, is that pushed back?
So the ferry is a critical part of our survival right now, because that's how we get materials in. That's how we get our supplies in. And winter roads are not reliable anymore. We used to get 3 months out of it. Now we're lucky to get 30 days. And for the trucks that come in, they say take half loads, but those half loads still cost the same. So it just, everything doubles in price when we try to bring our materials in. And planes are just out of the question. So those, when we get funded for housing, we only get funded for that house, nothing else. No landscaping, no drainage system. It just causes a lot of problems with mold issues and stuff like that. And we have contractors that come in even devastate us more. So there's so many issues we can talk about today, but today we're just talking about Manitoba Hydro. We've heard a few numbers. The latest one was about 150 million for about 60 kilometers. That's pretty much what we need to access the world. 60 kilometers.
And where would that road need to go exactly?
From York Landing to the South Access Road of Kiosk.
When was that estimate given exactly?
When? 2 days ago. I think we had a few two studies that basically said that. One was from Dillon Consulting, and the other one was NC Levelin, I think. Yeah, those are the two studies that have been done for York Landing to the South Access Road.
How long has the ferry been out for?
I think about 2.5 weeks.
Chief, has there been any push for Manitoba Hydro to let more water go? Is that something that is needed short term now? Would that help in any way?
Oh, absolutely, it would help. I don't think they're going to do that. You know, like I said earlier, they're looking for the water to be even lower. So I don't think we're going to see a ferry till September. So that's our construction season is gone. You know, we have so many projects going on right now. They're all shut down.
Over that 2.5 weeks, have you had to pay for people to go in and out?
You know, the money that we do get from Manitoba Hydro is from the kiosk partnership that we have. There's a guaranteed million a year, but that deal is so bad that we've asked Manitoba Hydro to renegotiate that. Whatever we get from Manitoba Hydro, we spend that on trying to get out.
I do have one comment, though, if that's okay, Chief.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I think about, you know, all of these asks that are coming from our leadership and our nations, you know, the one thing that always comes to mind for me is, you know, the comments that we hear, you know, out in community, out in society, is that we're always asking for something. We're always asking for something. We're always wanting something. But when I think about these comments that we hear, it all comes down to the treaties. We sign treaties with the Crown. And we sign those treaties to share the wealth of the resources. And that is exactly why we signed the treaties. We did not cede or surrender our lands or our territories. And so right now, Manitoba, Canada, you know, all the different provinces, everyone makes money off of the lands and territories and the resources that sit on the ancestral lands of our First Nations communities. They make trillions of dollars regionally, and all that money goes back into the hands of the provinces and Canada. If First Nations actually received the dollars that, you know, come from the resources that are being extracted from their lands, we wouldn't have to deal with the provinces. We wouldn't have to deal with Canada. We wouldn't have to deal with Indigenous Services Canada. We wouldn't have to deal with any government, because our nations would be compensated for the resources that are being extracted currently, right now, in the territories. And it's a lot of money. A lot of money, and our First Nations communities do not benefit at all. So I just want to share that, because right now we are asking for an all-weather road, to give access to, you know, children and families to and from the community. And this shouldn't even be an ask. This should be a given, an obligation, because the money that would build that road is coming directly from the lands and resources from the nations. That is not the province of Manitoba's money. It's not the money of Canada. It is the money from the resources that are extracted from our nations, from our territories. That money should be going directly to our First Nations, and it's not. So I just want to make it very clear that the monies that would pay for schools, for roads, for everything in our communities, that money should be going directly to our First Nations. So I just want to make sure that, you know, we are clear, that everyone understands that, because it's not us asking. You know, it's an obligation, and we need to ensure that we are righting those wrongs that we've seen historically. Miigwech.
No? Okay.
Just one last.
Wait, one last comment.
One last comment here. So we're calling on the federal government, provincial government, and Manitoba Hydro to help out Chief Wastesicoot and his nation and his people. Not only that for Nolweather Road, but outstanding land grievances also. Chief Wastesicoot, 68 years you've been waiting for because you got relocated. Fox Lake Cree Nation's in the same boat. 7, 8 years we've been waiting for our lands to come back. We've only got 104 acres of land under the Treaty 5 agreement. 104, that's only enough for 3.5 people. Outstanding treaty rights, obligations, land grievances need to be fulfilled also. All-weather road, Chief Wastesicoot, he's calling on all governments. We need this done. We don't want to see fatalities. We got really close right now. That barge is sitting on rocks. we need something done right now to help Chief Wastesicoot and his nation. So thank you for that.
Because I just want to say one thing. Thank you all for your interest. Thank you for helping us get this message out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.